June 1947, the Strait of Malacca. The scorching tropical sun beats down on a busy shipping lane. The ocean is like glass, perfectly calm. The radio frequencies are filled with usual maritime chatter. Suddenly, a violent explosion of static shatters the airwaves. It is not a normal distress call. Several listening posts and nearby vessels pick up a frantic Morse code signal. The dots and dashes are sent with a trembling, chaotic hand. A transmission born of absolute panic. The listening operators freeze as the words begin to translate. All officers, including the captain, are dead, lying in chart room and bridge, possibly whole crew dead. The transmission abruptly stops. For several agonizing minutes, there is nothing but the heavy hiss of static. The operators wait in total silence, and then the radio comes alive one last time. Out of the white noise, a chilling sentence cuts through the static. Just 2 words: I die. Then, absolute dead silence. The American merchant ship, the Silver Star, is closest to the coordinates. The captain orders a complete change of course. The engines are pushed to their absolute limits as they race toward the mysterious sender. Hours later, the lookouts spot a silhouette on the horizon. It is the SS Orang Medan, a Dutch freighter. From the outside, the vessel looks perfectly normal. The hull is completely intact. No black smoke, no signs of a collision or pirate attack. The ship is just drifting, turning slowly in the dead calm currents. The captain of the Silver Star tries to hail the ship over the radio. No response. They blow the ship's horn. Nothing moves on the deck of the silent freighter. A boarding party is assembled. Armed men row toward the giant vessel. As they step over the railing of the Orang Medan, they are instantly struck by a wave of cold dread. The silence is so deep, it feels unnatural. And then they look down at the deck. Every single member of the crew is dead. But it is not just the fact that they are dead. It is the terrifying state of their bodies. The corpses are scattered everywhere, across the main deck, inside the bridge, and down in the engine room. Every single face is turned upward, staring blindly at the blazing sun. Their eyes are wide open, frozen in expressions of sheer horror. Their mouths are locked open in silent, desperate screams. Their arms are stiff, outstretched into the air, with fingers clawing at nothingness, as if trying to push away some unseen entity. Even the ship's dog is found dead on the deck. Its body is stiff, its teeth bared in a ferocious snarl, snapping at an invisible enemy that no human could see. The boarding party draws their weapons, expecting an ambush. But the ship is empty. There is no blood. There are no bullet wounds, no signs of a struggle, no damage to the structure. Whatever wiped out this crew left absolutely no physical trace. As the rescue team ventures deeper into the lower decks, the mystery grows darker. Despite the tropical heat outside, the temperature inside the cargo hold is freezing cold. A bone-chilling frost hangs in the air, and the men can see their own breath. Terrified by the unnatural atmosphere, the captain decides to tow the ghost ship back to port. They attach a heavy tow line to the Orang Medan's bow, but before they can engage the engine's thick, white smoke begins pouring from the lower hatches of the Dutch ship. Panic erupts. The boarding party scrambles back over the railing, jumping into their boat and rowing furiously away. They barely manage to sever the tow line with axes. Seconds later, the Orang Medan explodes with a force so cataclysmic that the entire ship is lifted completely out of the water. In moments, the vessel breaks apart and sinks into the dark abyss, taking every single piece of evidence and every dead body down to the seafloor. To this day, authorities have no official record of the Orang Medan ever existing. The files are classified, and the truth remains buried at the bottom of the sea. The ocean swallowed the Orang Medan, keeping its terrifying secret forever. But the deep waters aren't the only place where people vanish without a trace. Sometimes the true horror comes from above. Fast forward to October 1978, the skies over Australia. A perfectly clear evening. But young pilot Frederick Valentich is about to realize he is not alone up there. Valentich is flying a light Cessna 182 aircraft over the dark, sprawling waters of the Bass Strait. It is supposed to be a routine, quiet flight from Melbourne to King Island. The Bass Strait is notoriously treacherous, a stretch of ocean with a dark history of swallowed ships. But on this evening, the weather is absolutely perfect. Clear skies, calm winds. At 7:06 p.m., the radio crackles to life. Valentich contacts Melbourne Flight Service. He speaks to a controller named Steve Roby. He asks, "Is there any known traffic below 5,000 feet?" Roby checks the radar. There is nothing. The screen is empty. He replies, "No known traffic." Valentich's voice comes back through the static. He sounds confused and slightly on edge. He reports that a large, unknown aircraft is tracking him. He says it has 4 bright, glowing lights. Roby asks what type of aircraft it is. Valentich replies, "I cannot affirm. It is 4 bright, it seems to me, like landing lights." And then the stranger in the sky begins to move. Valentich reports that the object has just passed over him at a speed he cannot even calculate. It is far too fast to be a commercial jet. Roby, trying to remain calm, asks for a description. "It's got a long shape," Valentich says. "I cannot identify more than that. It has such speed." For the next few minutes, a terrifying game of cat and mouse unfolds in the dark sky. The controller on the ground can only listen, completely helpless. Valentich's voice rises in pitch. "It seems like he's playing some sort of game. He's flying over me 2, 3 times at a time at speeds I could not identify." The object vanishes completely, only to suddenly reappear on his other side out of nowhere. It is toying with him. Roby asks for its current position. Valentich's response is chilling. It is not an aircraft. He describes a shiny metallic surface and a strange, piercing green light that illuminates the dark cockpit of his Cessna. By 7:12 p.m., the panic in Valentich's voice turns to sheer terror. He reports that his engine has started to cough. It is running rough. He is losing power. It is as if the metallic object hovering above him is slowly draining the very life out of his plane. He keys his microphone for one final desperate transmission. "Melbourne, that strange aircraft is hovering on top of me again." There is a heavy pause. It is hovering, and it's not an aircraft. And then Steve Roby hears something that will haunt him for the rest of his life. Valentich doesn't scream. He doesn't say another word. Instead, for 17 agonizing seconds, the radio transmits a harsh, unnatural, metallic scraping sound, like heavy metal grinding violently against metal, a sound no investigator has ever been able to identify. Then the transmission cuts out. Absolute dead silence. A massive search and rescue operation is launched immediately. Ships, planes, and helicopters scour the Bass Strait for 4 days. They cover a massive area of the ocean, but they find absolutely nothing. No oil slick, no debris, no life jacket, and no trace of Frederick Valentich. Adding to the nightmare, a local photographer taking pictures of the sunset over the strait that exact evening later develops his film. In one of the photos, a strange, dark anomaly is seen shooting out of the water into the sky. Frederick Valentich and his plane were simply erased from existence. The 17 seconds of metallic scraping remain one of the most chilling mysteries in aviation history. But sometimes, the greatest terrors aren't found in the vast open skies. They are waiting for us in the quiet, isolated corners of the Earth. Travel back to 1922. A remote farm in the German countryside. A family is about to realize that the most dangerous intruder is the one already inside the house. Hinterkaifeck. A small, isolated farmstead hidden deep in the Bavarian woods of Germany. 6 people lived here. The elderly Gruber couple, their widowed daughter Victoria, her 2 young children, and a new maid who had arrived at the farm that very day. The previous maid had fled the property 6 months earlier. She claimed the house was cursed and that something was living in the attic. But back then, her words were dismissed as mere imagination. The farm was completely cut off from the rest of the world, surrounded by dense trees and heavy silence. In the days leading up to late March 1922, strange things began to happen. The owner, Andreas Gruber, noticed a pair of fresh footprints in the snow. They led from the dark edge of the forest straight toward the house, but there were no tracks leading back out. Someone had walked onto the property and was still there. Then, a strange newspaper appeared in the kitchen that no one in the family had bought. House keys went missing, and strange scratch marks were found on the barn lock. At night, heavy, rhythmic footsteps echoed from the locked attic above their heads. Andreas searched the house and the barn, but found no one. The day before the end, someone cut the telephone wires leading to the farm. The family was completely isolated, without even realizing it. On the night of March 31st, absolute silence fell over the farm. No one saw or heard what happened in the deep shadows of the barn. 6 lives were quietly taken, their stories brought to a sudden, tragic, and unexplained end in the dark. But the true horror of Hinterkaifeck isn't just the crime itself, it is what happened in the days that followed. For nearly a week after the family vanished, neighbors noticed nothing unusual. Smoke continued to pour from the chimney. Lights were seen moving in the windows at night. The locals only suspected something was wrong when little Victoria missed school and a stack of uncollected mail accumulated at the post office. When investigators finally entered the property, they made a chilling discovery. The family was gone, but someone had been eating the food in the kitchen. Someone had slept in the master bed. Someone had even fed the cattle and milked the cows every single day. For days, the unknown entity lived in the house, sharing the space with the silent bodies, before vanishing completely into the forest. A year later, when the eerie house was completely demolished, workers found the hidden weapon beneath the attic floorboards, a heavy farm mattock. Right there in the attic, the straw was neatly pressed into the shape of a human body. The stranger had been living directly above their heads for weeks, studying their every move. The police questioned over 100 suspects, but no one was ever charged. To this day, the identity of the shadow that lived in the attic remains a mystery. 3 stories, 3 dark corners of our reality. A ghost ship swallowed by the ocean, a young pilot erased from the clear sky, and a family lost to the shadows of an isolated home. The world is full of spaces where the rules of logic simply stop working. Some doors are meant to stay closed, and some secrets are never meant to be brought into the light. Thank you for watching. If you want to uncover more classified files, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with the mystery that chilled you the most. Stay safe. Until next time.